It's the beginning of round 2. Let's start breaking some hearts. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix YWC Reality Check here with your review for episode 5, the beginning of round 2 of the Mae Young Classic. And right away, I'm not going to talk about any matches. Right away, I'm going to talk about the great video package that they did at the beginning of this show, basically showing you how the significant 16 took out the original 32. I'm going to talk about it because it was narrated by Mauro Ranallo. Now, this brings me to a very fun point. Now, there are a lot of people, most of whom maybe reside in New York, just saying, donate to my Patreon, that basically sit on YouTube and try to get paid for shitting on wrestling, whether it's bad or good. And they're shitting on the commentary of the Mae Young Classic, being Jim Ross and Lita. Oh, why didn't we just get Mauro Ranallo again? Why, Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan were great. We just should have gotten that again. Well, first of all, you don't want to do cut and paste. Second of all, let's look at it. You got a commentator and a color commentator. Now, in the commentator role, in the play-by-play role, you've got Jim Ross instead of Mauro Ranallo, and I'll tell you why you have Jim Ross instead of Mauro Ranallo, because if you are putting a wrestling show together, and you're putting your commentators together, and you can get Jim Ross, you fucking get Jim Ross. Mauro Ranallo's great. I love Mauro Ranallo. I think he's more modern, more 2017 sounding guy. He's a lot of fun to listen to. But Jim Ross is Jim Ross. Just saying. Now, on the other side of the coin, you've got Lita. I'm biased because I'm a huge fan of Lita, but let's take a look at the color commentator. The color commentator is supposed to basically take you in the ring. They are supposed to be legitimate. They are supposed to provide a legitimate window into what those performers are feeling, thinking, planning, etc. Now, let's look at the other tournaments we've done. The UK tournament, you had Michael Cole, who's good, not Jim Ross, but he's good, and they partnered him up with Nigel McGuinness. This was his introduction to the WWE Universe. Not only because he's got experience as a color commentator, but because he has wrestled extensively in the UK. Now, transition back to the CWC. I like the CWC, and this is no knock on the CWC, but if you've got a tournament of little guys fighting, you get a little guy fighter to be on commentary. That's not a dig at Daniel Bryan, but he is a cruiserweight, in essence, letting you know what the cruiserweight wrestling was like. And let's be real for a second, Daniel Bryan wasn't that great either. He was carried by Mauro Ranallo, much like, I will admit, Lita is being carried by Jim Ross, because she's not a commentator. This is the thing. Now, if you want to add that type of legitimacy to this tournament, there's only so many people you can go to. They could have gone to Beth Phoenix, but I think she's off being a family person. The only other person equal to Lita as far as legitimacy goes would be my home country girl Trish Stratus, but I believe she's also off doing other things, doing, the Stratosphere Yoga, running her own business, having her own family, etc. They've got Medusa in there, which I'm sorry, and I say this with all respect, the younger fans don't know Medusa. So they've got her in a backstage role, and that's fine and wonderful. Lita was the top of the heap in her generation of women's wrestlers. So she, among everybody else, I mean, let's not mince words. This is why she was used to introduce the Women's Championship at WrestleMania a couple of years ago, because she has that legitimacy. She survived being an actual women's wrestler in the era of divas. So she brings that legitimacy. I don't care if you like what she sounds like. Listen to what she's saying. I'm just saying, there are people out there that will find something to bitch about when there's not. You know me, I stopped calling Raw, I stopped calling SmackDown on this channel because they suck. They're not worth talking about. I'm not saying all of wrestling is perfect, but when you've got enough legitimate stuff to complain about, stop trying to tear down the shit that's good and the shit that makes sense for your own personal, your own personal tastes. You like Mauro Ranallo. I like Mauro Ranallo, but I'll go back to what I said a second ago. If you, in your own head, are Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, etc., 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 who put this show together, it's a brand new show. There's no pre-existing structure. You're gonna make your commentary team. You bring in Lita for the legitimacy of the particular division you're talking about, and to call the action, if you can get Jim Ross, you fucking get Jim Ross. Because there's nobody else like Jim Ross. Mauro Ranallo is a very generic, a great generic caller. This is why he was just asked to call the Mayweather-McGregor, you know, the biggest work in history. But he's a generic caller. He can call anything. Jim Ross can call WWE pro wrestling like nobody else. Like nobody else. And I'm sorry to say, not very popular, but his immediate protege, the only one that comes close to him, is Michael Cole. Go ahead and throw the comments down in the bottom below. Now let's up the ante, and my camera's being fidgety. There we go. First match, Rachael Evers versus Abbey Laith in the first match of the second round. Rachael, of course, beat Marty Bell, TNA's Marty Bell. You know, good for her, I guess. And Abbey Laith beat Jazzy Gabbert in the David and Goliath contest of the first round. They start with the handshake. There's a lot of handshakes. You know, I've been fixated on this ever since they started focusing on it in the CWC, because I think it does bring a certain element, because whether you get it or whether you don't, it sets the tone for the rest of the match, and it's great. And much like most of the matches tonight, the crowd is all in on this match. There was no quiet points. They're very, very split. Let's go Rachael, let's go Abbey. Except for the main event, we all know that they were going for, yeah, I feel really bad for Bianca, but I'll get there when we get there. Arm drag by Laith to start, and a front slam by Evers, a series of kicks and a forearm to the back by Laith. A second rope arm drag by Laith, excuse me, out of the ring, and then she follows up with a suicide dive. Lita takes this opportunity to speak extensively about the fact that Abbey Laith wrestled in CZW, and drops the reference that Dean Ambrose, aka John Moxley, also came from CZW, so that's how much they focus on the technical catch-as-catch-can wrestling. I like that. That was an interesting little thing, and I mean, that's the kind of thing that Lita can bring in, honestly. Going back to my commentary thing for a second, because Jim Ross ain't calling any CZW pay-per-views or shows, or what the fuck does CZW do? Do they YouTube, or what the fuck do they do? But that's my point on that. Forearms by Laith and a diamond cutter by Evers made me smile. Running senton by Evers and some corner chops, an STO by Evers and a springboard leg drop boot by Evers. Bicycle kicks by both. They both go for a bicycle kick, they both eat the boot, and they both go down. They trade some forearms, some punches, some kicks, and a second rope snap slam by Evers. Powerbomb in the alligator clutch by Laith gets the win for Abbey Laith. I like Abbey Laith. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Rachael Evers as well, but as I've said multiple times in this series so far, she's from NXT. We've seen her in NXT. We're going to see her in NXT again. She's not going anywhere. So to see Abbey Laith, and yes, I know she wrestles under another name that I can't think of right now, but I like her. She's a lot of fun. I like that they've got this whole story that Mae Young herself passed down the alligator clutch to her trainers, who passed it on to her. So I think they call her like the Mae Young protege throughout this, and because of that, you know she's gonna go far in this tournament. Abbey Laith will go on to face either Princesa Suhei or Mercedes Martinez in the next round, and it ends with a handshake and a hug and a lot of sportsmanship and a lot of feel-good stuff. Because like I say, I don't think Rachael Evers, even though she lost in the tournament, has anything to worry about. Next round. This is where we start breaking my heart. I said, when I did the bracketology for the next round at the end of the last video, I said I was incredibly impressed by Piper Niven. Incredibly. She took me from, like, okay, how good is she going to be, to holy crap, that was one of the better matches of the first round. But I said, as much as she impressed me, my heart's going to be behind Sarena Deeb in the next round, only based on familiarity. Sarena beat Vanessa Bourne in the first round, and Piper beat Santana Garrett in that match I was just talking about. Another handshake, but they do the collar and elbow tie-up, and Niven powers her into the corner with the, the size and weight advantage and all that. You can't talk about Piper Niven without talking about her size advantage, because it's a thing. You're not being a dick if you point out that Piper Niven is a big girl and she knows how to use it to her advantage, and it's all good. And she's, fun-loving, powerful combination, but she forces Deeb into the corner, and she does the same shot on the chin that she did to Santana Garrett in the first round. It shows a little bit of cockiness from Niven. Niven eats the turnbuckle and headlock by Deeb. Slam attempt by Deeb, but she is crushed by Niven. And yes, I know that makes me sound like an asshole, but it is. Deeb goes for the slam and just falls backwards, and Niven just crushes her. It's great. Side headlock by Niven, reversed by Deeb, back suplex by Niven, and a running splash, which again, everything is amplified because of the size advantage of Piper Niven. Lost my place, obviously. Headlock takedown by Deeb and a series of jabs. Top rope monkey flip by Deeb. She tried for the monkey flip a couple of times, and basically she jumped off the top turnbuckle into the monkey flip situation the same way that you would jump off the turnbuckle into a tornado DDT. She had to swing that kind of momentum to get the monkey flip to get her over, because that's a big monkey, and I say that in the most respectful way possible. Not only that, gets up, big rush of adrenaline, and she does have that Hogan Andre moment. She does slam Piper Niven. Twisting neckbreaker by Deeb, cannonball by Niven, a la Kevin Owens and a couple of other people. Falling forward DDT by Serena Deeb. And if you picture what Dean Ambrose's Dirty Deeds was before they turned it into a very generic looking DDT, basically, she's got her in a front face lock and falls forward. It's very cool. Vader Bomb by Niven. And I wanted to say this in the first round. I wonder if she's ever in her arsenal going to pull out the Vader Bomb. And she did. Niven then goes up for a top rope splash. And again, I'm an asshole, but if I'm Serena Deeb and I see Piper Niven coming off the top rope, that's more than a little scary. She misses the splash, but pops up immediately to hit her own version of the Snap Michinoku driver, and Piper Niven gets the win. Impressive as fuck. I like Piper Niven, but I'm still kind of heartbroken that Serena Deeb's out of the tournament. I hope this wasn't a one and done for her. I hope she's got a spot, at least on NXT. I mean, you could put her in as a developmental extra on SmackDown and it wouldn't hurt my feelings, but put her in NXT. Have Serena Deeb versus, I don't know, Nikki Cross. Yes, that's my easy answer for everything. But I mean, Serena Deeb versus Ember Moon wouldn't be a bad match. I really wish she was going farther. Really got to take my hat off to Piper Niven, though, because as she did in the last match, as she did here, she's impressing me a lot. Piper Niven goes on to face either Lacey Evans or Toni Storm. Now, Lacey Evans versus Toni Storm does not happen in this episode. I will say that just as I was going into this match, I'm impressed by Piper Niven, but my heart's behind Serena Deeb. If she's facing Toni Storm next round, yes, I'm impressed by Piper Niven, but my heart's going to be behind Toni Storm, who is the unofficial rock star of this tournament so far. Mercedes Martinez versus Princesa Suhei. Princesa Suhei, who I hold a bit of a grudge against because she eliminated Kaylee Ray in the first round. Mercedes beating out Xia Li. Why are we doing notifications? Why is this a thing? Because we're showing the only luchador in the tournament, we have to. It must be written somewhere that we have to find a luchador in the crowd. And by that, of course, I mean we show Kalisto in the crowd. Really? Even when you turn the notifications off, they don't actually turn off. It's like I work for Apple or something. They have the handshake. It's all good. Collar and elbow tie up, and Princesa works the arm. Excessive chain wrestling sequence to start. And by excessive, I mean they go for several minutes where I couldn't actually write down what specifically they had done. I will admit that. I am not that good of a reviewer. So I will just say a lot of chain wrestling to start. Armbreaker by Princesa, lariat by Martinez, uppercut by Martinez, roll up into the turnbuckle by Princesa. I love that because not only do you get the centrifugal force of being rolled around the ring by your opponent, you also get the added bonus of the back of your head smacking into the bottom turnbuckle, which is nice. 2 suplexes and a suspension neckbreaker by Martinez, corner forearms by Martinez, codebreaker by Princesa, but again, it's that codebreaker to the chest rather than the face. Top rope facebuster, tornado DDT combination by Princesa, boot and a fisherwoman buster by Martinez gets the win for Martinez. And Martinez goes on to face Abbey Laith next round. Abbey Laith, I might be saying it was nice knowing you. Mercedes Martinez is kind of terrifying. I'm just going to put that one out there, but she's got that. I know they're trying to do it with Baszler because she is a legitimate UFC fighter. She's there with the 4 horsewomen and all the behind-the-scenes stuff that we know is going on. But Mercedes Martinez, I can't put my finger on it. She's just got that real fighter look. I don't know what her background is. I should probably pay more attention to the video packages. But she doesn't look like a pro wrestler. She looks like a fighter, and that makes a difference. And in the special, we have a special stipulation on this last match. It's a special type of match. It's called a foregone conclusion match, as Kairi Sane goes on to steamroll Bianca Belair. Let's be real for a second. Kairi Sane beat Tessa Blanchard in the first round in the very last video that I just did in this series. Go back and check the playlist if you haven't. Kairi Sane versus Tessa Blanchard. Although I gave a lot of credit to Piper Niven and her match, Kairi Sane, Tessa Blanchard, easily the best match of the first round. I called it the Gargano Ciampa of this tournament. Bianca Belair beat Sage Beckett in, if you recall, a match that I wasn't that impressed with. I still don't know to this moment how I feel about the whole hair whip gimmick that Bianca Belair does, and she's way too cocky to be going up against somebody that we all know is probably going to win the tournament. They have a handshake, it's all good. Bianca starts off the match sort of twirling her hair and stalking Kairi Sane around the ring. Kairi Sane just sort of taking a half step back, taking her measure of her opponent, etc. Waist lock by Bianca to start the match, and she rides a headlock. Shoulder tackle by Bianca twice because she's the bigger, stronger, more powerful person. And then she's so cocky that she blows a kiss to Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane, big smile on her face, catches the kiss, throws it to the ground and stomps on it, and the crowd goes fucking crazy for that, and I pop for that too, I'm not gonna lie. Elbow strikes by Sane and a knockdown by Bianca. Bianca beats the shit out of Kairi Sane in the corner with her hair. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. The crowd booed the shit out of Bianca Belair, which made me happy. Hip toss by Bianca and a stalling vertical suplex, showing off the power once again. Insane double underhook submission by Bianca. And it's half insane because of how she locks it in, and the other half of it is just because of how tiny Kairi Sane is, and it looks like she's just bending up a pipe cleaner at the end of the day. But it's all good, and it's all, she looks and she sells it, and you can tell she's a fucking pro. Chops by Sane in a second rope forearm. Straight jacket choke by Sane, which is really nice. And an arm drag by Bianca. Power slam by Bianca. They trade some more elbow shots. A spine buster by Bianca, followed by a 450 splash, which is not expected to say the least. Bianca eats post and eats a scissor kick by Zane. Sorry, not by Zane, by Sane. Low elbow strike. Sorry, this is where you just roll up into, I guess, Kairi Sane's 4 moves of doom. Scissor kick. Low elbow strike in the corner, ridiculous AJ Styles style back fist, and then she hits that insane elbow drop that we saw in the first round. It's her elbow, like, she does the whole pirate gimmick. I don't know why she just doesn't call that elbow drop the harpoon, because that's what it is. Big arrow through the center of your opponent's fucking ribcage. Kairi Sane gets the obvious, predictable, and foregone conclusion win to go on to the next round. Kairi Sane goes on to face either Dakota Kai or Rhea Ripley. Whoever it is, I feel sorry for them because I don't like their chances that much. And much like we did in the very first match, we end the night on a handshake and a hug and a whole lot of respect, and Kairi Sane showing a lot of respect to Bianca Belair. Great matches. Really heartbroken over Serena Deeb, I'm not gonna lie, because I really wanted to see her go a lot farther. Really heartbroken for anybody that's going up against Kairi Sane. I really am. Toni Storm's going up against Niven in the next round. So one of the other people that I'm super impressed with is going home in the next round too. So yeah, so there's 4 more matches in this round, and then we get into the you know, cutting down the numbers and all that sort of thing. This is the first episode of the second round of the Mae Young Classic. I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.